What's going on, everybody? Good evening and happy new comic book day. We're down at Caroline tonight because technology strikes again, and she's cursed. But we've got two great guests with us tonight. We've got from the writing side of this awesome Kickstarter, Dust Pirates, we've got Kevin Cuffe, and from the art side, we've got Tony Gregori. And now Kevin and his writing partner on Dust Pirates, Bob Frantz, they both also were the writers for Metal Shark Bro from Scout Comics. And Tony is also the artist on this awesome Dark Horse comic, The Worst Dudes. So let's welcome them both into the stream. How are you guys doing tonight?
Fine, how are you doing?
Doing great. We're kicking off a little late tonight, so thank you guys for hanging out with and waiting on technology to try to work tonight. But
he's cooking everybody's circuits. So
right, yeah, and she's in the chat, dropping comments. So
hello, Caroline. I'm sorry about your computer.
How you doing, Caroline? Yeah, sorry. Damn technology.
Yeah, it's striking a lot recently.
You're supposed to make life easier, not harder.
Right. Supposed to bring people together.
Yeah, not divide us.
Exactly.
This is where that Terminator timeline branches off, and Caroline's computer becomes Skynet, and now you guys didn't know about that. See?
Oh no. Be careful, Caroline. Watch out for your computer. I just want to shout out a couple people who were waiting in the chat. Jason, thank you for hanging out. Comics Talk Weekly, Phil, how are you doing tonight? And Dave Collects, yeah. And Blue Hawk 88 and Rally B18. He likes to sculpt things out of paper mache. They look really cool.
Oh, sick!
Nice.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, and
I was fascinated by sculpture. Is like crazy to me. I don't get it. Like it blows my mind.
Wild.
It's like sculpture and music are two things that to me I like. Wow, I'm like looking at it like that's. You have magic powers. How did you do that?
You just brought that to life.
Yeah.
Magic.
It's crazy.
So I'll let you guys tell the people in the chat a little bit about yourselves and how you got into this crazy world of comics, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Dust Pirates.
Sure. Tony, do you want to start? Do you want me to start? I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I've been reading comics since I was like 7 or so, which is a long time. We won't mention how old I am now. But it's close to what Tony mentioned his age is. But it's been a long time, and the reason why I got into comics is my dad was a World War II vet, which sounds weird because he was just way older than my mom, which sounds weird, but it's the truth. And they gave the GIs overseas comics, so that was something they gave them. And so when he came back, Marvel Comics were on the stands. We lived in New York, so they had spinner racks way back then in the day. You kids may not know what those is, but you can see one every now and then and we'd buy comics off of a rack at what my parents called to be the drugstore, which was 2 or 3 blocks from my house in New York. Everything's in blocks. We used to walk to it. And I would buy whatever. I was hooked from like 3. He would buy them and read them to me. But they made me want to read because I'm like, what is Hulk saying? What is Spider-Man saying? So it was like the deepest mystery to me was like, dude, I've got to interpret the alien language on the pages with the picture so I can get to like what these characters are saying that I like so much. So that's how I got into comics in the first place. And then probably in 2015, I had read a book called Think Tank that came out through Image Top Cow. And in the back, there was all this back matter, and then he was talking about how the process is for writing comics, and I was like, like the way that Matt Hawkins describes this, I feel like I could do it. So I was like, I want to learn how to do that. So I just stayed up endlessly finding out at the time whatever I could, because there wasn't much out then about how to do that. So I hunted out everything I could find about it and then started trying to do it. And the first thing I did was a thing called Oathbound with an artist named Paul Gorey, and that introduced me to Bob, which then led to where we are now, where Bob and I were at a con together, and we wrote another couple stories together, and we wrote Metal Shark Bro, and here I am.
And the rest is history.
Something like that. It's your turn, Tony.
Yeah, mine's kind of similar. And I was a young, a babe, unable to read. My dad would read me to sleep every night. He'd read comics. He'd read Batman comics. Because what we would do every Sunday, same as Kevin, there used to be a newsprint store near my grandparents' house. So every Sunday morning, the routine was my dad would take me to the newsprint store. He'd get a newspaper, and I'd get 1 or 2 comics. And then we'd go to my grandpa's house and my grandparents' house, and we'd have breakfast and all that stuff. And then at night, he'd read the comics to me and I'd read me to sleep. And after a while, he'd start changing the stories because he got tired of reading the same stuff all the time. It was the same, 10 comics in rotation. I'd be like, Dad, that's not how the story goes. And then finally, I started reading them myself, and that's how I learned to read. It was basically like Jim Aparo Batman from the late 70s, because I was born in 76. And then I just started drawing because I always loved drawing. From the minute I was able to pick up a pencil and a crayon, I was drawing before I was writing. So I would draw on the walls, or I would draw dinosaur comics that my mom kept. And I loved sequential art, and I kind of just fell in love with sequential art and sequential storytelling. And I wanted to do that all through, even high school. I was doing it with my friends, just drawing comics. And then once I graduated high school, I took a little detour for some years. And then when I was in my mid to late 20s, I got the bug again and decided that's what I wanted to do, was draw comics. And I made that my goal. And that's why I started my journey into actually trying to do it as a career or a way of life or whatever you want to call it. So that was I'm in my mid 40s now. So that was probably 14 years ago. I started seriously trying to do this. And I've been doing it professionally for the last 10 almost.
Nice.
No day job. So knock on wood.
The wood stored up here.
Yeah. Split wood. Yeah, so that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I grew up in the 90s, so when I was in high school, it was the image boom. So we were all on Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Wildcats, all that stuff was
The Authority was big in the 90s and stuff like that too, yeah.
I really wasn't into Authority as much. I was more into McFarlane Spider-Man and
McFarlane Spider-Man was great in the 90s.
Jim Lee X-Men, and when they spawned off into the Image, it was just the Max, and then I even loved Pitt and all that other stuff. I was just all about it, and yeah.
Nice.
It's been a constant, Comics have always been in my life.
I've only been reading comics for I think six years now. So
no, it's
kicked off a little bit later.
It doesn't matter when you pick it up, as long as you pick it up and then you're enjoying it, because it's one of those. I feel like it's one of those passions that anybody can enjoy, And for a small price, $4, you can buy a book, and you can read it whenever you want, And unlike a movie, you pay $9, $10, and you go to the movie once, and you can't take it with you. So
can't bring the theater with you, yeah.
No, you can nowadays, I guess, but
like I was telling you guys, she just started in August during the pandemic. Looking for
welcome to comics, Caroline.
Welcome. I hope it's treating you well. I hope you stick around.
Yes, you're an addict. You're an addict now, like the rest of us. So I mean, it's unfortunate in some ways, but it's also I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good way to think about reading comics. We're all addicts to it, and then sometimes you get clean for a little while, and you're off comic, but then you always come back to it.
You do.
Yeah.
We're old guys, so Tony and I are old, so we're proof that's what happens. You go and you'll be like, man, I don't want to read. That's a good comment, Caroline. The thing about it's you're gonna find the thing about comics is so wonderful. You're gonna find things you absolutely love, but on the same scale, you're gonna find things you absolutely hate. So I would say just read what else. Yeah, just read what you love and talk about what you love. That's what I tell people with comics is like if you don't like something, I hate to say this, and it sounds weird to say it, but like going on the internet and like telling people how bad it's terrible, like doesn't make it like more terrible. So dealing, yeah, well, you gotta get my fix.
I find that like since I've been doing it for a living, I read less, which is not a good thing. But like, I definitely I read less comics than I did when I was younger or coming up or trying to break in. And now that I'm I draw comics like 6-7 days a week. Like when I'm not drawing comics, sometimes I just like to like watch a movie or do something outside, But I always take like a day, like once a week. I'll sit down for a couple hours and I'll read a couple books, floppies or a trade.
Yeah.
Because I have so many of them and I want to read them. But I don't know. It's like anything else, if you're involved, if you're in it all the time, when you're not doing it, you don't want to like, you don't want to get burnt out. So you like look for other things to do so you get more input and more like inspiration,
Yeah, unlike Tony, my to read pile is too big. So like I'm when I'm not making actual comics, I'm actually reading comics. So my to read pile it gets low at times, and I think it looks like I might actually make it through some days, and then something else comes out that I want, and then it grows again. So
the couple things I'm reading Stray Dogs. I love that book.
Yes.
Comics Stray Dogs is great. Way of X is great. I'm reading that. Beta Ray Bill, I'm reading that. That's great.
Great.
And there's something else I picked up the other day I picked up a Jim Lee Wildcats trade for like the first 5 issues. They had it in my comic shop for like $10. And I was like, oh man, there's no way I'm walking past this.
Yeah.
And I reread it the other night, and I was like, man, this art is amazing, but the story is just like doo doo. Well, I don't care. It's like it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful like superhero like of its time 90s book that like I don't even care about the words. I'm just looking at the art. Like,
yeah.
And I'm engrossed by every line. It's.
Comics Talk Weekly asked a question.
Oh yeah, I see. Hold on. I was just gonna mention this. That's why we have you guys on here, because we checked out the Kickstarter, and we're not going to talk about something that we don't love. So we loved it right off the bat, checking it out. So
thanks.
That's what we do on here. We don't want to bring anything on that we don't love. We don't want to do. Like, I'll do reviews, but I'm not going to talk about one I hated.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to talk about it. And
yeah, what's the point? Like, if you don't like it,
it's
especially
a book for somebody. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm a middle-aged white guy, so like there's certain books I look at and I can see how good they are. I can see the skill and the craft that was put into making it, and I can see what they're trying to accomplish and that they accomplished it. And I can also see that it wasn't made for me. But that doesn't mean it's not good, and also like that doesn't mean that I still can't enjoy it on some level, Like people like when the She-Ra cartoon, the new one came out. I saw like some people were upset or whatever about it, and I looked at it, like, this is really cool looking. I love the style of the art, and I love the energy of it. It's just not made for me, But that's fine. Like there's no shame in that. Like.
Exactly.
Not everything's for everybody. These days, there's entertainment for everybody. It seems like too.
But the truth is that new Masters of the Universe trailer they dropped with the Bonnie Tyler song, that was made for you, Tony.
Yeah, that was made for
me too. Because I saw it. And was like,
real good.
I Need a Hero one. Yeah.
Yes, it's awesome. Now that we've seen Word Behind the Curtain, has it changed our perspective as fans? Not so much. I'm still a fan. It's weird because I think in comics you always stay a fan. It's even when you don't want to like fanboy, because Tony and I would say we consider ourselves professionals. I mean, if he saw certain artists or I saw certain writers, like Neil Gaiman, I would be like, oh my God, that's Neil Gaiman. I would be a fan again. Like, there's no way I couldn't be, because I'm such a fan of Neil Gaiman. So, I wouldn't be able to hide my inner fanboy from Neil Gaiman. So it just depends on. I think it changes, like the level of my fandom changes, because like now that we've worked behind the curtain, like yes, Neil Gaiman, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm an utter fanboy. But like, I met Jason Aaron once, and I had a little fanboy tinge. I was trying not to do it, but it's still like it comes out because we're nerds. Like that's what happens. It's like, oh, I was nerding out on Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I never really nerded out in person because like I don't know, like I worked in like a lot of places and like nightclubs and bars in Southern Florida and Southern California, and I saw a lot of famous people like Bill Murray and just like crazy famous people. So you kind of like after a while you just kind of like ingrained as not freak out, not because you're too cool or anything. It's just like you don't want to, you don't want people to feel uncomfortable when they're, you don't want them to leave. It's like a cat, you want them to stick around, so you don't want them to leave. So you're like, I'm going to keep it chill because I'm going to be composed because I don't want them to fucking. Okay, sorry. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah,
Can I cuss?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to freak them the fuck out and have them leave. So I try to keep it chill. So that kind of went into comics. Like, I do like, if someone starts following me on social media, like someone I admire, I like be in the DM to my friend. I'll screen cap it, like, oh my god, this is crazy or whatever. But I generally don't like totally try to freak out because I want to belong. I want to feel like I belong, and I feel like if I'm just constantly like doing the Jonah Hill thing, I'd be like, I'll psych myself out, and I'll feel like I don't. I would tell myself that imposter syndrome will kick in. I'll be like, oh, I don't belong here with these gods, or whatever. It's like, no, they're just people, especially if you work with somebody who, or you got to know somebody really well that you used to look up to, and then you get to know them as a human. They're like, oh, they're just a person. Like, it's not, they're just really good at this thing that I do, which I admire. I admire their work. And then also you meet people that like you admired who end up being really kind of jerks, and then you kind of are like, okay, well, I can admire their work, and also like think that they're a jerk, and like make fun of them in private, but
Yeah, I mean, and we both kind of do this a little bit. It's like all these awesome creators that are out there that we want to talk to about their books and make sure people know about the books. But there's a little bit of that. But then we talk to them, and it's like, hey, we're all regular people here.
Yeah, I mean, some people they say anything else. Some people just like they get a little success and they it goes to their head, and I mean that's just human nature, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, wash your mouth out with soap.
Does pineapple belong on pizza? Was the question, and I will say fuck yes. So I said fuck.
And I'm on the other side. This is like a crosstalk on like a
See,
show.
I'm going to say now. Tony and I we're going to debate pineapple on pizza. We're not talking about Dust Pirates anymore. Because
I haven't even talking about Dust Pirates at all yet. So
what's your alternate topping though? See, like this is the question. Like, what else is with the pineapple? What else is with it?
I'm Italian, so I don't put pineapple on my pizza.
I'm Italian too, but I love pineapple. All right.
I might be more Italian than you. I think.
So you might be a little. Your last name's only pineapple. Oh no, no.
Oh, but yeah,
that's bananas. I respect your opinion, though.
And you say ham or bacon? Jalapeno.
I've never done that.
Jalapeno. That's the topping you want with your pineapple.
Interesting.
Jalapeno.
Oh,
trust me.
Zone. I don't want to yuck on anybody's yum. If you want a pineapple on pizza, go for it.
Liana
Liana
Kangas and Bob and I are starting a pineapple on pizza like forum, and Mitch Gerard said he would join. So we're all uniting to like order pineapple on pizza at cons when they come back. So it's gonna happen. Pineapple on pizza. Jalapeno has to be your other topping of choice, though. There you go.
So where's the comic that debates, whether this should happen? I think that has to exist now.
Tom King is probably writing it. It's got 9-panel grids.
Oh, that's amazing. The Dust Pirates.
I don't know how we segue from. That's not the segue I was looking for, but I'll take it.
I either need a smooth segue into it or just an abrupt.
It was a cliff drop, and I'm ready. Yeah. We'll swing into it like Quinter and Sam, or swing onto an Atlantean pirate ship. There we go. Boom.
There you go.
Yeah, they like pineapple on their pizza in this, right?
I would say one of them does. I would say Sam. I would say Sam does, and Quinter is looking at. Quinter is like, you're just you're frivolous.
You're very fancy, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up the Kickstarter.
I'm just happy to have some pizza.
Yeah, so I've read it. It's awesome. We've got this different take on Atlantis than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
How would you guys describe this to the people who are in the chat and haven't gotten to look at this yet?
Sure. Dust Pirates is kind of a pulp comic. So what we wanted to do when we started doing this book, as you can see by Tony's lovely artwork there on the Kickstarter page, is we decided we wanted to do kind of a pulpy thing. So it was like for fans of things like Flash Gordon, and the book in particular that we referenced, I had by my table. It's actually in the back room now. Tony and I both had read Mignola and Chaykin's Fafnir and the Grey Mouser, and we both liked that book because Chaykin wrote it and Mignola drew it, and it's a beautiful book. And it's really great with the interactions between the two characters, between Fafnir and the Grey Mouser. Like they have a real bond. So that was kind of where we started the process. I would say subconsciously, that's where Tony and I started the process. We were talking about things, and he said, "Have you read this from Dark Horse?" And I said, "No, but I'll find it." So I went and found it on the internet. Then I read it because we were talking about adventure comics that we liked, and that was one of them. And at the time, Tony was also saying, "Well, I like stuff like this. This is like one of my favorite comics. To like Arden is beautiful. The way he lays out pages beautiful. I want to do stuff like this." And then he also said, I watched The Shape of Water like 18 times in theaters. It was something. It was a crazy amount. It was a crazy.
I went like 6 times to see The Shape of Water. Yeah, I did.
Times 3, and then I'm gonna stand behind my original comment.
For all the context, there's a theater right across the street that played it, and I was going through a rough spot, so that movie helped me get through it. So
right, and he was like, I kind of want to draw like cool looking fish people. So
yeah.
I was like, okay, so what Bob and I do when we start any book is we ask the artist the things that they want to draw. So he had said, this is, I think, this kind of like Fafnir Grey Mouser thing, or this, and like crazy fish people. And he like listed all these things he wanted to draw. We had to find a way as writers to put all that stuff together and make it different. So we looked at the list, and Bob and I started talking, and we basically said, well, let's have it take place in Atlantis. But Atlantis is usually filled with water. So there can be fish people. Why don't we have the fish people fish out of water? Like what that should be like the basic theme that we're going with is that these fish people don't have water, but like why don't they have water? So we went through and figured out Atlantis has been through like a war since they've hidden away from the surface. So around the time I would say of the Romans, this is some of the backstory that is kind of touched on in the book, but like we had to cut some of it to make the 80-page mark that we were looking for. So like they're from another planet. They're Atlanteans are definitely aliens, and they like had contact with early humans, but like seeing what the state of the world for humans was in the time of the Roman Empire and stuff, they retreated from the world because there was a whole bunch of wars. There was people trying to conquer each other. Atlanteans weren't down with that, and they had superior technology.
Pestilence and plague, and
but
these humans are gross.
But their contact with the human world had an effect on certain Atlanteans, and they brought that back with them and decided that they wanted to rule over Atlantean people too. So, that being said, wars happen, and a tyrant was created through these wars. He happened to be the general of one of the forces, Zizor, and he happens to be the conquering general after there's this war of separate elemental factions that do magic that you see in the book. Yasina is head of one of those factions. And part of that is that women were not allowed to be part of those elemental factions. So she's like, yeah, screw that. Oh, I can curse on this. Fuck that. Like, I'm going to do what I do. This is what my father taught me to do because he taught it to me because it was, you were trying to forbid it, and he wanted to pass the knowledge on to his daughter. So this kind of thing was prevalent throughout the book. And then we basically said, like, okay, so we have an ecologically devastated Atlantis. We have a tyrant who's hoarding the one precious natural resource that these people have, which is water. And then we have these two guys that get sucked into the mix because they happen to be basically at the wrong place at the wrong time. And they're unlikely heroes for this kind of Atlantis. As you can see, like Sam is sort of cocky and very sure of himself, and he has a certain way he views the world and himself. And Quintor is the much more down-to-earth fellow. He likes planning. He likes things to like have a reason and a rhyme. Sam is very lives in the moment. He's very bon vivant. He just wants things to happen as it goes. Like he's very much like, oh well, what's going on now? Okay, well this needs some adventure. This is boring. Like that's something Sam would say. This is boring. Like so,
it's very impetuous.
He is, and it's paid off for him for most of his pirating career being impetuous. He could, and that's part of the thing we tried to impart through their dialogue. But having Quintor along be his first mate has also helped him a lot because Quintor helps him like kind of temper his impulsive nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's it in a nutshell, basically.
I mean, it's basically like Lethal Weapon meets Waterworld meets The Shape of Water.
If you like any of those movies, or like Flash
Gordon, if you love Starlight,
John Carter movie that Disney did, like the three of us had talked, Tony, Bob, and I, and like the three of us loved that John Carter movie that Disney did a few years back with what's that guy's name who played John Carter? He was like Gambit in one of the movies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of his name. Tyler something. Taylor something.
Doesn't matter.
Kirsch or something. He's got a weird last name, but he was a great John Carter. And like if you watch that movie, like I watched that movie and I was like, why was this not a hit? Like this is perfect. Like like it beat for beat the movie's perfect. Like when you watch it, it's got a perfect. The only thing I would say is problematic is the subject matter. But it's only slightly problematic. But like we all love that kind of stuff, so we wanted to do something like that, but a little more woke, wherein like Quintor isn't Sam's sidekick; he's actually the other main character, and Yasina isn't a sidekick to either of them, and she's not a damsel in distress. We didn't want to write her as a woman that needed saving. In fact, for much of the book and other parts of the book, it's quite the opposite. She ends up saving our two male hero pirates from someone else. Yes, Taylor Kitsch. That's his name. And I love that movie, and so did Tony, and so did Bob. So like we wanted to do something that was like that kind of thing where you think of like John Carter should have been like a summer blockbuster, but we wanted to make like a summer blockbuster comic. So that was what we were really trying to play into. So it was
definitely has that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we definitely wanted it to be like big, full of action, have some funny moments, also have like moments where like you're getting deep like thoughts from the characters, or they're having introspections on their relationships, because overall Dust Pirates is about friendship, and it's about the friendship of these two guys and how their friendship that has survived years of pirating and all this, how it survives Atlantis, and or how friendships change over the years. All of us have friendships, and all of us can say we've had friendships that changed, where we were closer to people at one point than we were at another point in our life or in our friendships.
I think these two characters, they're actual real-life pirates.
They are.
Sam Bellamy and Hendrik Quintor served on the Wida. Sam was the captain, and Quintor was on. I don't know his position on the boat. If he was the first mate or what, but he was on the boat as well. And in real life, the Wida capsized off of Cape Cod in the late 1700s. Sam died, went down with the ship, and then Hendrik survived the capsize, swam to shore, and then eventually was captured and hung for piracy. But in our story, when they capsize, they get taken to Atlantis. And then the story goes from there, and we won't say how it ends. But so
but you're going to want to see. You're going to want to see how it ends.
But if you could look up like Black Sam Bellamy. We call him Blackheart Sam Bellamy, but in real life his name is Black Sam Bellamy, and Tough Hands Hendrik Quintor. You can look them up, and actually the designs of the characters I took from these two like classic paintings, like these oil paintings from like must be the 1700s of them. They were beautiful oil paintings. So I kind of took those designs and ran with it to make it more of like a comic book look, But yeah, I thought it was interesting to like that they were real pirates. I thought that was fascinating.
That's super cool, bringing in that historical perspective and then taking it to an alternate direction. It's like, this is what actually happened to them in our world. They went to Atlantis.
Yeah. And also, like, guys like that, you're kind of paying homage to these real life people. Because like Sam Bellamy was considered the gentleman pirate. He didn't murder his captives. He would either let them join his crew or like drop them off somewhere. But he would also like was sort of a Robin Hood figure where he would give some of his booty to the booty. He would give some of it to like booty. He would give some of it to like underprivileged folks. Would spread the wealth about, and he would take care of his crew. They call him the gentleman pirate. So he was,
or the Robin Hood of the Seven Seas. That's actually something they call
benevolent. He was a benevolent pirate, So guys like that, hey, we're kind of paying homage to them and shedding a light on their lives,
It's super cool.
What Sam didn't like was the aristocracy and stuff in England. Part of the reason why he became a pirate was to basically piss off.
He was a blue blood, wasn't he?
Yes, one of the kings. No, he wasn't a wealthy man himself.
Didn't he come from wealth or no?
No, he went to a naval academy. He was a poor man, but he felt like he was poor because of the things that the king and the aristocracy was doing in Britain.
Good.
Yes, that's a good description. Sam's very chaotic good. So when he started to be a pirate, it was because of the laws and stuff like that. He felt like what the king was doing was actually robbing from the people. So like he was like, they're actually stealing from you with their tax monies and stuff like that. So that's why he became a pirate.
And Hendrik was a freeman. He was I guess he was a former slave who was free.
He was, yeah.
And so his choice was like either live life on the run, or from like these racist plantation folks, or jump on a boat and sail the seas and live a life of adventure as long as you can do it, because what other choice do you have, and so that, I mean, his life to me is like the most tragic because it's
because he didn't have very many choices. Like he could be a pirate or slave, and that's not cool. So like the choice of pirate's obviously better, but like he didn't have the way to make those choices. Like Sam chose to be a pirate. He was a naval officer in the British Navy, and he chose piracy because of the way he felt about the aristocracy. Quintor didn't get those choices, so we explore some of that in the book too. They have talks about like why they do what they're doing, and
there's we definitely tackle societal issues in the book with a light touch. It's subtle, but like it's there, and we don't run from it. Especially like when we created this book, it was 2018. And we had a different president, and there was different things going on in the country. Well, still the same things are going on, but there was a definite vibe in the air, and we kind of like leaned into that, or like wanted to kind of comment on that without beating people over the head with it. Because for me personally, I like in my entertainment, I like the social commentary when it's a little more subtle, and I'm not hit over the head with it. I mean, I know that there's room for that stuff too, because sometimes you need to get hit over the head with stuff. But me personally, like I like it when it's a little more layered. I feel like that's, because when people sit down for escapism, if there's like an underlying message that maybe isn't like in your face, I feel like it's more impactful because it sits there and marinates inside your brain for a while, and especially when you're like a younger person who's like influential and developing your ideas and your points of view. I feel like sneaking like you're kind of like giving a dog the medicine, but putting it like in the peanut butter.
In the peanut butter, it's in there. It's in there. It's in our peanut butter, but it's only half a pill. So, and the reason why we did that is because our primary goal is to entertain, and our secondary goal is to like put this across. Like this is like this kind of stuff can still happen here in America. Like if you think about Dust Pirates, and that if you put it in a broader fashion in your brain when you read the book, you go, oh wow, that could actually be happening here.
And it's not a political, it's not like a political book or anything. But there's definitely these guys join up, the pirates join up with the downtrodden Atlanteans to free them from their shackles. I mean, it's
there's always in that type of story, there's always going to be an implied political piece to it, just because it's the downtrodden, like you said, versus the elite kind of piece.
Yep. I mean, that's all good stories, right? Is like you got to have conflict. So you
got to have the underdogs coming back and going for the win, right? Yeah. With all the historical perspective that you've guys have been talking about, and where these guys originated. Any plans to put that into the book to kind of give readers that perspective too?
It's there, but we only touch on it a little bit. If you want to read more about the actual Sam and Quintor, like you can, but like our versions of them are different than the actual ones, but not because we wanted to like skew so far from history, but like I think it's interesting if you have that touch to it where if you want to read more about this, like if you're one of those people that's like, man, I love back matter, I love the DVD bonuses and stuff like that on the DVD, then you can like that's why we put it there.
Yeah.
So you could look more into these guys' lives, and a weird thing that you could do like too is like if you're into pirates, for example, one thing that I found when we were doing this, like at the time when we started, because the weird thing about Dust Pirates that Tony just mentioned was we started this in like 2018, the three of us, and we started it before Bob and I had Metal Shark Bro out, and before Tony had out The Worst Dudes. Tony was actually, he just finished working on Deuce of Hearts, book he did for Vault, and so yeah, before he did that, this was 2018. So we actually had planned to have this done around the same time we were done with Metal Shark Bro, and Tony was on board with that plan. But what happened was Bob and I released Metal Shark Bro. Metal Shark Bro kind of blew up and sold way more than we thought it would. We didn't think it was going to do what it did. The first volume did all kinds of crazy things we weren't expecting it to do. So we had to go and do signings, and then they were releasing digital. Scout was releasing digital only variants and stuff on the website, and we did a lot more. It took a lot more time. It was our first experience with having any kind of success in the comic world at all. So we didn't expect to have to be promoting a book we put out. It came out that same year, 2018.
Yeah.
2 years later, into 2021 or so. And Tony had other projects that he had to work on. So we all agreed that since this was pretty much done, we'd come back to it, and we'd find a way to put it out because we all really liked the story. So we did that. So the three of us came back together when we all had time. We said, we're going to do the Dust Pirates now. And we put it out into the world, send it to publishers. Nobody really bit. Nobody really liked our pitch on it, I guess. But then we were like, well, we'll just kickstart it. We don't need permission. We're going to ask the people what they want, just like they're the Atlanteans, So
and Kickstarter is saying it's a project they love, so we got the Kickstarter seal of approval there.
Yeah, we're 60% funded with 17 days left, so we still got a ways to go, but I'm confident that we can hit our goal.
We've only got $5,000 left. We're more than halfway through. Like Tony just said, 60%.
Yeah.
So I feel like we would be able to get there with help of people like yourselves and people who listen to this podcast. We'd be able to do that. So that's one of the things that we've been trying to do, is do as many podcasts as we can and get our names out and what we're trying to do around as much as we can to show people that this book is worth your $5, $25.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The first 24 pages are already finished. They're written, drawn, colored, and lettered. And once you back the book, you get a PDF of the first 24 pages, and then all the money predominantly goes to create the rest of the book, and then for print costs. So that's 56 more pages, and I've already got the script out and started figuring out layouts and stuff. So that's happening as we speak. Yeah. So it's in motion, and the colors are by Josh Jensen, who did an amazing job. He really captured the vibe of the book. I feel like it's got that kind of pulpy feel to it. It's got a dusty feel to it too, which I dig. It looks like it's in a dusty world, but it's also colorful enough. It doesn't look drab. You don't look at it and you're like, oh, this is, this color still catch your eye, but it's also captured that dusty, desolate feel to it. And the letters are by Chaz Pangburn, who also edited the book, who's just a great guy to work with and a knowledgeable all-around comic book creator.
Thank you, Caroline. And to answer, I don't know what Rudy's question is. What's the word? He has a Metal Shark Bro. The Comic Comics
101 exclusive.
I've seen the Comic Comics exclusive. It's kind of like a redo of a Namor cover, I believe. I don't have one of them, but I have seen it. So that's something along those lines. Scott was doing that with a lot of things that with Metal Shark Pro. And there's some metal. Go ahead.
Oh, extra exclusives out there, to promote the book more, probably.
For those of you that like Metal Shark Pro, you should pick up The Worst Dudes that Tony's doing right now on Dark Horse. And the second issue comes out.
I gotta give a warning. The Worst Dudes is for mature audiences. So if you got kids, if you pick it up, don't let your kids read it, unless your kids are into Deadpool and stuff like that. Then they might not care. But
put the warning label up there.
Yeah, and it's it's not like so that warning label is actually taken from the original Lobo run from like the 90s. The Lobo book from that era had that logo on there, and we kind of, it's more of a play on that than it is outright like, yeah, this book is dirty and nasty, because there's dirty stuff in it, but there's a lot of dirty books out there these days. So like, it's not, we're not doing anything that no one else has done before or is doing currently. So we're not trying to act like, oh yeah, we got the only dirty book out there, but it's definitely like a play on that cover, the Lobo cover. And the book itself, the first issue is just a taste of where it goes.
It only gets worse from there.
So I was going to get it, and then I was in the shop, and I flipped it open, and I was like, all right, I am sold.
Just wait. Just wait. The second issue, I have to say, my favorite issue, there's a 5-issue series. It's a 5-issue series, and it ends beautifully. It's actually at the end, it gets a little poignant and a little emotional. At least for me, I probably am weird. But for me, it gets a little emotional. But I feel like the third issue to me is my favorite one. It's right in the middle, because it kind of like each issue. Like the first issue is kind of introduction to the world and the characters, and I won't talk about Worst Dudes too much because we're here to talk about Dust Pirates. But issues 2, 3, and 4, we start off with a flashback. We show a little backstory for each of the 3 dudes, and they kind of show how they got into where they are. Just a snapshot from a point in their life, but like a really poignant moment in their lives that got them to be the men and the teenage boys that they are now. And then the final issue is just like the big finale, where it's like the big fight, the big boss fight, and then the conclusions and things kind of wrap up somewhat. And then that's the end of the book. But the third issue is like we highlight Sam's backstory, and then we kind of get into we explore another world, I'll just say, that you find out about in the second issue.
And the second issue drops on July 7th.
Next week, a week from today.
Be there for that. Make sure you
be there. Be square.
That. Yeah. And Rudy, or anybody who's listening for Metal Shark Pro News, we have some really big Metal Shark news that will be dropping in August. So pay attention to Scout or follow Bob and I or on Twitter. We have some really cool Metal Shark Pro news that will be dropping in August that has to do with action figures. So something to do with action figures. That's all I'll say.
That there's going to be a Metal Shark Bro one.
It could be. It could be.
I mean, what else?
That can't be the news.
That can't be the news.
I will say, like I told you before, I haven't gotten to read Metal Shark Bro yet, but look at my pledge. I'm going to get to read it.
Oh, nice. Great! Thank you.
Oh, great.
So also, what we'll do is, while we talk about this, for anyone who is going to pledge from Sparks Comics today, I will eat a Carolina Reaper for every pledge above $25 that we get.
So we got to talk about
this broadcast.
The variants that we kind of skimmed over.
Yes, let's talk about the covers. That's a good idea. That's one that's in the corner. We've had some really great artists do covers for this book with us, and
here we go.
That one right there, that's Kaylin Smith.
That's Kaylin Smith. She did a book called Plume, which is an amazing fantasy story. And we reached out to Kaylin because we saw some of Plume, and we're like, hey, do you think you could do a cover to this for us? And she was like, most definitely. She was very fast, very thorough, great, and I would say check out Plume if you get a chance, because Kaylin is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It's very swashbuckly too. I love the energy of them.
Yeah, I love that cover.
And then that is Liana Kangas. You probably know Liana Kangas from She Said Destroy, and she's done a bunch of stuff. True Cult.
Okay.
And she's done a lot of books. Liana is great and a good friend of ours and Tony's. So when we asked Liana if she wanted to do a cover, she jumped at it, which was really fun. It's the second cover we had from Liana. Liana did a cover to the other book that Bob and I just recently did, the Ninja Nuns book. Liana did a cover for that. She did the cover B for retailers.
And this is Yasina. She's the water mage in the book. She's the water mage that brings the Dust Pirates to Atlantis.
She really liked that scene that Tony drew with that. So please get that Kangas cover, Caroline. It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah. And is there a way to add that cover to? Because this is honestly, I love this cover.
It's on add-ons. So if you go into you can add any of the covers onto your pledge for whatever their cost is. There's one you get all the covers. That's probably my favorite one because you don't miss out on any of the awesomeness.
But then you don't get Metal Shark Bro Volume 1 and 2.
You can add, I think he has some add-ons, but if he doesn't, I'll tell Bob to make sure he does it. It's a beautiful cover.
I'll have to look and play with it.
Yeah, we're very accommodating.
Match up.
We can make it happen no matter what. So.
You're speaking to the people who can make it happen. Whatever you need, we can do it for you. It's not.
Yeah.
That's Liana's
one way or
cover.
another. I want Metal Shark Bro. I want the main cover, and I want at least this one.
Yeah, I love that one too.
And then that's Joe Mulvey's cover. He did the Wailing Blade for Comics Tribe, and he did it with Rich Dewick, who's doing Superman Red and Blue right now. And he is an awesome artist, and Joe just had a lot of fun putting all that together. He really liked the shipboarding, so he's like, "Can I do something with them boarding a ship?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that's what he did, and it's awesome.
I love all the Hendrik has all the pearls and all the accoutrements around him and stuff. I just love that.
He's just diving into the treasure.
He drew each individual pearl too, which I think is Joe's line work to me is beautiful. It's so detailed and fresh and crisp, it's very deliberate. He knows what he's doing.
And all the rope.
Yes, it's very detailed. Crazy. Yeah, Joe's great.
Trad Moorish, it's very Trad Moorish, which I love.
And that's Joe's cover. And then
colors by Josh Henson.
Yes, Josh colored that. And then this is one of my favorite covers. The very next one is Jason Copeland, who has done. That's who Bob refers to in the video as everyone's favorite Canadian, and he is everyone's favorite Canadian. Jason Copeland, consumer of fine Ruffles all-dress chips and lovers of the Toronto Jets. That is Jason Copeland's cover. He also does Canadian bacon, which you want with your pineapple pizza. Hey man, I got to tie it all back together, Tony.
There we go.
I'm just at the pineapple on the pizza. It's just...
I mean, Canadian bacon and pineapple, buddy.
I do like. I think Caroline said olives, and I'm a big fan of olives on pizza.
She doesn't like olives.
No olives.
Oh, no olives. Oh,
you're hurting. You're hurting Tony. You're hurting Tony Gregori's inner Italian.
I'm also half Greek because I'm half Italian and half Greek, so I got to have my olives.
The olives really hurt you then.
Yeah. You're more on his pizza ordering.
There you go. Yeah, J to Amir, they got it right. I'm with this person.
And then this was back to the Canadian bacon is ham.
It's basically right.
And
just fried ham.
Jason did a book for Dark Horse called Kill All Monsters with Michael May, and it's an awesome book. If you haven't checked it out, that book is amazing. And so we've been friends with Jason for a while. Tony and I and Bob actually used to play in a Star Wars game. We role play, so we were doing a Star Wars role playing game with Jason. Yep, Edge of Empire with Jason. And
it's awesome.
Go ahead.
We Caroline and I are part of a D&D group. We just
nice. Yep. Role playing brings people together.
Our campaign on Tuesday.
Nice.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we just rolled up new characters for a new Edge of Empire campaign
with Jason.
With Jason. Jason's a great DM. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm going to be a Chiss gunslinger. So like General Thrawn, but like Admiral Thrawn, but a gunslinger.
I'm just playing a Corellian human who is a gambler and overly charming. Yeah. It's not a stretch from real life at all. So speaking of
the fish.
Speaking of overly charming.
This cover, Jason's cover has the fish. And this fish actually plays a big part in the story. We introduce it in the first 24 pages, and then as the story proceeds, the fish kind of comes back around.
So Jason's like, can I draw this big monster fish? And this is a guy that drew a book full of giant monsters, and I was like, yes, definitely. And like, Tony, is you cool? Jason draw the big fish? Definitely. Yeah. So we were all for it, and that thing turned out beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous, and that original art will be up on the Kickstarter. That the Jason's pen and ink drawing will be up on the Kickstarter eventually. We're going to put it up there.
Josh Jensen did the colors on this.
Josh colored that as well. Yep, and
gotta give the man his credit.
He definitely deserves it. This is Mac Chater's cover that's coming up, and Mac went for. I do too. I think it's for old guys because I don't because it reminds us. I know why Tony loves it, and I love it for the same reason. This reminds us of movie posters when we were kids. Mm-hmm. That's what the movie posters used to look like outside the movies in the glass windows when we'd go when we were kids. That's all we had to go on right there. You guys are all spoiled with your 12-minute trailers and shit. This is what we had. Like
it feels like it though.
Yeah. The Struzan Dark Crystal is what made me go see Dark Crystal. The Struzan Dark Crystal poster, like it's a Struzan-esque, like painted Dark Crystal poster. It looked like that, like in that fashion. It's like, wow, I want to know.
I love Yasina's posture here too. She's just like not taking your shit. I just love it.
Which is indicative of her character. He had drawn all of them in different poses. So basically, like my favorite one for Sam is the one where he has the eyebrow raised. Is his eyebrow? It is in that one slightly, but there's one where he has like an eyebrow because it's a Sam thing to do, and then Quintor's just smiling because he's Quintor and he's the steadfast, like steady guy. He's our rock in the book. And Yasina is just like, I'm not taking any of your bull. Then that's how she rolls. That's how she rolls. Those covers are all great, and Mac colored that himself. And Mac is an Eisner-nominated artist for the Dark Horse book Sword Daughter. So Bob was a big fan of Sword Daughter, and Mac has been a friend of ours over the internet since he lives across the pond for a little while. And I said, hey, Mac, would you be interested in doing a cover? And he was like, definitely. And he's like, I want to do like a Struzan movie poster because when he read the book, that's what the vibe the book gave him, which is awesome because nobody even said that. But like, just
Mac's an old guy like us. He's he grew up on Indiana Jones and Flash Gordon, and I mean, I'm sure.
I see a little bit of Indiana Jones vibe from this cover too.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to do that. Can I do that? And it was like, dude, you've been nominated for an Eisner. Do whatever the fuck you want to.
I mean, and that's the vibe of the book too. Is like the Indiana Jones vibe is kind of the vibe of the book, where it's like it's adventure, it's fun, but it's also like he fights Nazis, so I mean, it's not like he's fighting
pirates in this, Yeah,
this one they're fighting warlords and stuff, but like there's serious undertones to Indiana Jones, but he's always doing it with a wink and a smile, It's like every situation is like, da 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 da.
How's he gonna get out of this? And that's how we imagined this book would be like. Oh, they're fighting, and there's too many Atlanteans around them. How are they gonna get out of this? And so we have to every time we have to figure out a way for them to get out of a situation. It feels more like pulp adventure. And the second issue, there's another cool thing that they have. That down there that you're getting ready to scroll up on is the cool glow-in-the-dark pin that Tony designed.
Enamel pin. Yeah, that's Atlantean Skull and Crossbones.
Nice. And that is available as an add-on. So anyone who gets the book and wants an enamel pin that glows in the dark, why wouldn't you want that? Is my basic thing. Like, why would you not want a glow-in-the-dark pin designed by Tony Gregori?
I want one, and I designed it.
I want one, and you designed it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, try to keep it simple, because it's going to be a pin. I didn't want to get too crazy convoluted with the lines or anything.
We didn't want it to say like the Dust Pirates or anything other. We wanted it to be one of those things where, like, if you're a fan of Dust Pirates and you see that and it glows in the dark, another fan. So like that
also, like some people like you could wear it and like, it's got skull and crossbones on it, so it looks cool and stuff. But then also like you're not like people aren't going to be bothering you. But what's the Dust Pirates? Because some people just want to be left alone.
Yeah. So it's just a cool glow in the dark pin. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
It serves two purposes.
Yep. And there's also commission tiers that are open. How many? I think there's two spots left on the commission
Two
tier.
spots left. You got three of them. So
Yeah.
3 left of 5.
Okay.
3 left. Limited 3 left of 5. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't someone get one the other day? I thought we missed one.
No, we did get one the other day. We only had one before, I think.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
And that gets you the pin and the cover A,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
in addition to the commission.
Yeah, there's some samples of the commissions up if you scroll up.
I scroll on the right part of the screen.
There they are. That's what Tony's commission work looks like. I have some of the commissions, like they're right over here that Tony has.
I did that commission for Donnie Cates. He's like, yeah, can you do Cosmic Ghost Rider holding the sword from God Country? I was like, yep. Yeah, there you go.
And Daredevil.
Typhoid Mary, that's from the John Romita, the classic John Romita run from the 80s when they introduced Typhoid Mary, which is my favorite era of just comics, but Daredevil. I love that whole era.
Yeah.
I think the next one is Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah, that one's awesome. Yeah. I remember when you posted that. That's a great commission.
Yeah.
Look at all the detail in that. That's crazy.
All these crazy things going on here.
Yeah, that was on a Twitter poll. I was like, I want to draw Moon Knight, or I put a poll up. I'm like, hey, I got a free weekend to draw something. What do you guys want me to draw? And I put Moon Knight on there. I usually always put Moon Knight on the drawing poll. And I really just wanted to draw like a cityscape, and Moon Knight was an excuse to draw that. So I basically I tucked him in there down to the bottom.
Should have like Moon Knight in one spot, and you got like Daredevil hiding in a corner, or Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like a
one of my favorite artists is Daniel Warren Johnson, and he draws all these like people are like, hey, draw a Spider-Man commission, and he ends up drawing like this huge like Manhattan skyline or cityscape, and you'll see like a little Spider-Man. I like that because it's like, I like that idea. I like that because it looks like almost like you're observing it, like you're
his Star Wars stuff is dope too. Like it looks like you're observing like a battle out in space. It looks awesome. And then there was another one on there, but I don't see it. Like I don't see it as an example. But one of the commissions I own was up there as a Wonder Woman that Tony did. And it's not up there anymore. Yeah,
but you can find it on my social medias and stuff.
He drew that as a warm up one day, and I instantly messaged him, and I was like, "Dude, that's an awesome Wonder Woman. How much for that Wonder Woman?" And I'm like, I'm not even like super huge into Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman enough, but it's that. Yeah, it was a really great picture of her. I still have it, and I bought a few commissions from Tony over the years because I love Tony's art, and we're friends, and that's what you do. So,
yeah, pretty great price to get the commission, the book, and the pin.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be yours, friend.
It could be.
It could be. It could be.
Don't me right now.
I promise to bust my ass on it to make it look pretty.
That's one thing about Tony Gregori commissions. You'll never be sad that you got one.
Well, yeah, it might be, but not because of anything I did.
But yeah, Dust Pirates we've been having a lot of fun doing it, and we let you guys check it out, and Caroline said she loved it and you loved it, so I think that's great. That speaks volumes to us. Like, I'm glad that you guys both really liked it.
It was actually interesting. So you messaged me on Twitter like the day after I was talking to Travis Gibb, who said I should message you and Bob to get you guys on because you guys are great people to talk to, and he knew you had the Kickstarter. So I don't know if he actually had talked to you or not.
No, but he's great. I like everything Travis does too. He just had another Kickstarter I backed not so long ago.
Voodoo Nation's number 2.
That's the one I backed. Yeah.
Yep.
And he's great. And we were doing Twitter Spaces for a little while, where like it's like like almost like a podcast, but like a bunch of people talking. We were talking about Kickstarters on there, and Travis was one of the people that was on that space, and he was awesome to talk to and get his perspective on running Kickstarter, because Kickstarter is hard. So that's one thing that I think it's hard to bring across to a comic audience that goes to a LCS every week, because your local comic shop is different than Kickstarter, but they each have their benefits and their drawbacks. So the one great thing about Kickstarter is you get to interact directly with the creators like Tony and myself and Bob. So you're saying, oh, I want a Metal Shark Bro. Like, we can make it happen. Like, that's the good thing about that versus the LCS. Like, if they don't have it, they don't have it. The difference is we can make stuff happen. If you're like, oh, I was going to back, but this is not what I'm looking for, we will find a way to make that happen during a Kickstarter and stuff like that, because we're the ones who actually created the thing. And that's part of the fun of Kickstarters. Plus, there's things up there you don't get anywhere else, like signed book plates and enamel pins and stuff like that. That's part of the fun of Kickstarter. But Kickstarter is also hard because it's like you're on a roller coaster of emotion and promotion for 30 days. And regular comics fans don't understand it. Like, these people are blasting out about their Kickstarter every day, because we have to, because of algorithms.
No one else is going to do it if you're not doing it.
No one's
going to do it for us. No.
I'm working for a company like Dark Horse, even working for them. Like, I got to promote that too, because they have a PR department, but also it's on me to promote my book. Like, they're not gonna. I can't expect them to promote my stuff as much as I can, because
the good thing about that, Caroline, is that you can buy all the add-ons on a Kickstarter, and it's usually going to be cheaper than what you would have paid. Like, if you look at everything, like, for example, we have all the cover tier. You're saving $30 on. So basically, you get one for free. So you get one of the covers for free if you back that tier, because that's the way we try to design our Kickstarters. Is we're as comic buyers ourselves and comic fans, we want to give you the most value for your money. So that's something that when Bob and Tony and I designed the Kickstarter, we were what would be at a fair price for 80 pages worth of comics. We don't want to charge too much just because it's a Kickstarter, and we don't want to charge too little to where we're undervaluing our product. What's the right price point? So that's something we tried to find in our Kickstarters. Is this a value for you as a buyer, as well as something that you're going to enjoy the 80 pages of? So that was it's a tough call, but that's what I tried. Yeah.
$20 is a good price. I think.
It's the entry level.
I've seen books that. Yeah. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
For that much content in the comic, it's perfect price.
Yeah. I've seen books that were smaller that were charging as much or more.
It's 80 pages of story, so that's the reason why we put 80 pages. There's going to be more to it because Tony's got all these designs and stuff that we're going to put in the back, and there's going to be some commentary from Bob and Chaz and I on that. Chaz, who's the editor, Chaz Pangburn. So it's how Chaz came up with stuff, and Tony and Chaz got to work together because of Dust Pirates, because Chaz was seeing all the really great design work that Tony was doing for Dust Pirates, and wanted to work with Tony on the story for Ninja Nuns. So they did that first story together in the Ninja Nuns book, because it's kind of an anthology book. It's kind of 8-page stories from Bob and I and different artists. And then Chaz was like, "Hey, can I do a story for that? I really want to play in the sandbox. Can I do that?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Do you think Tony would do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would if he's got time." So we asked Tony. Tony said yes. And their story's one of my favorite ones in that book. So
that was fun. That's funny that you named basically the antagonist summons a god of constipation, and the god of constipation's name is Tony, which I thought was hilarious. Thanks a lot, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was something that when we edited it, we threw it in there. I'm sorry that we edited.
I thought it was hilarious.
We reversed roles, so Bob and I edited Chaz on that, which we've never really been great editors. So it was really fun to do because he red pens a lot of our stuff.
Rudy, you're right. Yeah, I agree with Rudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's totally the truth of being a comic creator. We need to get a certain amount to make the book because Tony has to keep the electricity on in his house.
Yeah,
he needs to buy an air conditioner.
If this thing doesn't fund, I'll be sweating for the rest of the summer. So.
Real world struggles, and
go way up there.
And he has to like draw the rest of the book. So you got to value Tony's time in doing that because he's got to eat and he's got to sleep and he's got a cute puppy to take care of. That if you follow him on Instagram, you see
I can show you the cute puppy right now if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Come here.
We always love pets on this channel. I've got a cat. Caroline has a cat.
It's so hot. She's so miserable right now.
In the room right now.
Look how cute Dory is. Look at her. She's so cute. So for just pennies a day and backing Dust Pirates, you can feed this beautiful little puppy.
Beautiful little puppy.
We gotta
feed this puppy.
You gotta feed that puppy.
Puppy?
Yes, puppy. So I mean, it's a tough balance because we don't want to like price gouge people who are into comics because like I see weird things all the time like that get kind of like make me cringe at the collector's market because I'm like, oh, that's a super expensive. Like I didn't realize some like that Comic-Con Metal Shark Bro sells for like $100 and some odd. That's a lot. Like. Yes, feed that puppy, please do. That's a lot for any comic book, and that's not even the full trade. That is just 24 pages. Like it's the first, the way that Scout released Metal Shark Bro is they did the first basically an issue drops like, hey, try this if you want to try it, and then they drop the trade right after. Like 2 months after.
I think they call it now
binge.
I don't know if they did
binge. Yeah, it was binge. It was called binge when we first did it. Now it's called nonstop. Yeah.
This is what I was hearing in my head. Yes. For only pennies a day.
You can feed Tony's puppy and feed starving comic creators and buy us beers. This is all the things that we need as comic creators to make your favorite comics.
In the arms of an angel. All right, I'm done. That's it. You don't want to
feed this girl. This girl needs to eat.
And you can also get me to eat. Yeah, really hot Reaper pepper. If we get any backers,
has backed. Let us
right now. I'll do it right now. There's an almond right there.
When we started, you were at 215 backers. Let's refresh.
Okay, let's see.
Don't let me down. They've let me down.
Hey, times are tough.
I don't eat the Reaper almonds for free because they're pretty hot.
Yeah. You make that number jump. Up one.
I'll eat an almond.
Happen.
I'll do it on Facebook.
Rudy was driving, so he's probably not purchasing and driving. Hopefully he's not. Hopefully he's not typing paragraphs and driving though. Rudy, be safe.
Be safe.
Yes. Please. Don't text and drive. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. We want you to arrive alive.
Yeah, that's more important than our comment.
Yeah,
definitely.
But yeah, feed the puppy.
That's our hashtag for this. Dust Pirates, please feed that puppy. Please feed that puppy.
I love it.
Yep. Once we hit 8K, I did a poll yesterday on Twitter. What do you want me to draw? And Sexy Dust Pirates won the poll, so I'll be drawing that once we hit 8K. So that last time I drew Cal from the Worst Dudes, he won, so I drew him as a pirate. You can find him on my Instagram or my Twitter. I posted it the other day. Once we hit the 50% threshold, and now I'll draw sexy Sam and Quintor once we hit 8K, which we're like $400 something away from. So
I think when we hit 9K, we need please feed that puppy drawing.
No,
I'll draw her.
We can do Dory as a pirate. And somebody has to buy Dory as a pirate. That's all you do. You have to buy these things. Like that's the fun of them. There's only one existence of Cal from the Worst Dudes as a pirate. There's only one. You'll have that one thing. Yeah, that's a good thing about comic art that I think that
let me While y'all are talking, let me grab it. I have it.
That's the one thing that got me into buying. I wasn't like a guy who would buy artist commissions when I first started, like comic collecting, and now like it's my favorite thing to buy because like there's only one of those, so it's always fun. Like that's one of the most fun things to buy is a commission from an artist. Oh, look at that! So
wow. Hold on, let's get you.
There you go.
Yeah. So his catchphrase is perfect because he's a Catman. So I drew him as Captain
pirate,
Captain Cal Sparrow. Yeah, colored and everything. So
that infomercial was awesome.
The arms of an angel.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
I mean, we can use Cal for that too. You need to feed this pink lion. Like, well, I mean, if it gets you to bag the Kickstarter, we're in.
Feed that keyword. I won't say it.
Now you're the young kid from the comic, you giant pink. What?
Yeah. I won't say it.
Shut your mouth.
If you read the worst dudes, you know the word.
Issue 2 next week.
Next week. Next week.
But
looking forward to it.
We're over an hour now. I don't want to keep you guys too long. But anything else you guys got coming up or want to talk about, plug before you head out for the night?
Sure. Go ahead, Tony.
Dust Pirates, obviously, and the Worst Dudes, we've already went over that extensively. And then I've got another Kickstarter coming up in August for a book called Starweed. Issue 1 was kickstarted and funded and went out earlier in the year. And then issue 2, it's finished, completed. The writers Alex Wilson, colorist Claudia Aguirre, Lauren Norby on letters, and I drew it. Issue 2 is getting ready to get launched on Kickstarter in August. That's about in the future, people smoke the ash of dead celebrities. So our story revolves around a DNA, like a thief, a corpse thief named Diggs. She's like an independent contractor caught between two drug lords, trying to either hire her or kill her, or both. Issue 1 ends up where she gets sent to space jail. Issue 2 starts off in space jail. She's in the Beebs, which is the prison facility. It's the Beebs. It's named after Justin Bieber, obviously. And basically, she breaks. It's basically her. She may or may not break out of space jail and end up on a planet full of dinosaurs.
Okay, sold.
And that's issue 2. So, and that's going to launch in August. And then later on in the fall, the Kickstarter for Ancient Noise #5, which is a series of books, a book that I've been doing with David Crispino for the last couple of years. We do about an issue a year. It's like a little over 30 pages. Issue 5 is the final issue, and that will wrap up the series. And also, we'll provide a trade, so you can there'll be tiers, so you can get issues floppies of 1 through 5, or you can get the full trade, or whatever you feel like getting, you can get. And that'll launch later in the year as well. And then let me see. And there's some other stuff I got coming. I'm working on that may or may not happen. That if you follow me on social media, I'll talk about in the future.
And for us, Bob and I are working on another project when this is over, probably in the fall as well. We've already got the first part of it completed. Basically, it's called Brew's Big Plan, and it's about D&D from the monster side. So if you play D&D and you like to see like weird things, basically it's a goblin, a hobgoblin, a kobold, and there's one more character I can't remember. A bugbear, and they're upset because these adventurers keep traipsing through their home. These adventurers keep traipsing through their home to try and kill a nearby lich. And so in the fact that these adventurers keep on traipsing through their home and like killing their friends, like they decide that something must be done about the nearby lich, and they have to take him out because their friends keep dying, and they're basically all the low-level monsters. And it's with the artist Matt Emmons, and it's a lot of fun. There's things like we made up this really stupid thing, but if you play D&D, you'll think it's really funny. There's a Dungeon Zamboni that's basically that's basically. I had to bring it up because it's the awesomest thing that one of the awesomest things we thought of is two D&D players. There's a Dungeon Zamboni. It's a goblin with a saddle on top of a gelatinous cube. So as a D&D player, you're gonna laugh. Like you're gonna get all our jokes in there. There's a bunch of D&D style jokes in there. So like that's what he does. Like he cleans the dungeon on the Zamboni, and they're like, oh, like where's Carl? Like, oh, he got killed by the adventures last week. Oh, we had to get a new Dungeon Zamboni operator. So like, and it's just him sitting on a gelatinous cube with a saddle. Which I think is hilarious. But like if you play D&D, it's funny. And we tried to use monsters in funny ways, in ways that you wouldn't expect to use them, and it's all through their perspective. Because I was like, what would be the most fun D&D game to play? Why don't you play like monsters for once, and like the humans are the bad guys and the elves, they're the bad guys, because they come through and they wreck all your shit and like they take your money. They're like basically dicks that like run through your house and take all your crap. So like why don't we just write a perspective? This is their perspective on like what your adventuring characters do to them. So, and it's so much fun to write.
Hey, monsters got to eat too,
right? Just like puppies.
Yeah, feed the puppies.
Feed that goblin.
So
feed that
when
goblin.
you guys got these coming out, come back, because these both sound like awesome things to talk about and let everyone know about.
We would love to.
Thanks for having us on. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely fun time, and thank you guys for coming on and talking about Dust Pirates and feeding puppies and pineapple.
Feed that puppy.
Dungeon Zambonis, my friend. Dungeon Zambonis.
Oh my god. I think we need to introduce one of those in our next game.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody in the chat who's been hanging out and watching.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks,
It's
Caroline.
been great hanging out with you guys. Thanks, Caroline. It was nice to meet you. Over internets.
Yeah.
And everyone who watched on the rewind, thank you guys for replaying this and going and backing this if you have. And have a nice night, everybody.
Yeah. Night.